a TED Talk. This is just, I am bursting with love for all of you, and I love that having this space to just kind of put that into a little container of this, right? We get to spend a lot of time with each other here, but yeah, like how often I don't know if I always let myself really tap into like the depths of what I feel, and share that. And so that's really my intention for having this time together. And I thought that was such a beautiful way to start, because I think it's really simple what I want to say, and it's almost silly to say it, because once you say it, it's like a little bit off of what it is, and it's just really being here. And how amazing I can really feel us all here right now. You know, we all know it. We all know the feeling, right? You have this experience of like, oh my gosh, like it's like our favorite moments are just moments when we're all the way there and all the way accepting and loving like that, what is happening in that present moment. Like, yes, I'm here, you know. And it's like, sometimes, you know, if you think back to those moments that you fully remember, they're either like the most painful moments where you have no choice but to fully accept and embrace where you are, because you're like, oh my God, I just broke my arm. There's no denying this, and I have to embrace this, right? I have no choice but to recognize the fact that I just got in an accident and I'm like woken up into that present moment. Or something is like, we less often, I think, let ourselves feel the elation of the present moment of just like, oh my gosh, I am just in the presence of one of my favorite people ever, and I'm so grateful for that, and I am letting myself feel the fullness of that gift, right? Or, you know, maybe we've had experiences when we've had a child, or it's been like, you know, or gotten married, or I've had neither of those experiences, but I imagine they're really good. I think I'd be really present for those experiences. But that same elation is actually available in each present moment, right? It's actually just the gusto with which we allow ourselves to be here and be there and with all of ourselves, right? And so I just feel like starting there, because that's the only there is. But also, it's fair to say that we aren't always here. And well, we actually are, though. So this is the tricky part. We're always here. So even when we think we're not here, we're actually here. So that's a relief, right? There's no trying to be here that you need to do. It's more letting go of the ideas that we're not actually here. And so that's always the starting point, right? It's like, if you notice that you're not here, or you think you're not here, congratulations. That's the first step to becoming aware that you're here, to remembering. That's why it's always just a remembrance of where you are, which is a really good news, because all this efforting and trying that we like try to do all the time, it's like, oh, thank goodness, like we don't need to do that, right? It's always this feeling of like, relief. Like I don't have to keep trying so hard to get it right, because I've already gotten it right. There's no right to get. But whenever we notice that we're somewhere else, or our mind thinks we're somewhere else, it's always just the mind, right? And so, like, imagine I'm having a conversation, just hypothetically, you know, like, and I'm talking to someone, and I'm just thinking about where I'd rather be in that moment, right? And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm somewhere else in my mind. Like I am having a bubble bath with a glass of kombucha, and like, you know, whatever. I'm not actually here in this moment with this person, even with all of this discomfort that's arising. And then it's like, okay, I'm noticing I'm not here. Step one. And then if you should choose to be more here, right? Oftentimes that involves like a big noticing of the walls that are present here, right? The reason why we don't let ourselves be here is because here is messy. Like here has a lot going on, right? We all are, it's simple, but it's not easy, because like if we really let ourselves be fully here and fully honest with like every single cell in our bodies, like we wouldn't be necessarily like who we think we're supposed to be in all of the social contexts, right? Like I might be a little bit more honest with my boss than I think one should be if I don't want to get fired, you know? Like I might, like especially, I think this is really important to talk about in work contexts. And this is like leading to my second theme, which is today's International Women's Day. And I wanted this to be somehow related to the experience of being a woman. And this isn't like related to only women, but I want to talk a little bit about what feminine power is and embracing our feminine essence, or like what that means, which we can support more of in the world, whether or not we're a woman or a man. There is like so much value in what true feminine presence is that would benefit the globe. That would benefit everybody, every living creature on the planet. And so I just want to kind of define, or put some language around what I think of feminine empowerment as being, and what actually it's not so much like women being the same as men. It's like it's not about that so much, right? If we try to be men, we're actually cutting ourselves off from like the waist down of like what it actually means to embrace the wholeness of our feminine essence. And so back to being here, right? So back to being here. The two trains going, we're all together, it's fine. Okay, so we're being here with our whole selves, okay? So what we could call, all right, let's just think about, maybe we've never thought about what masculine and feminine energy are, and that's fine. You don't have to even use these words, but sometimes the words can help, right? Because you can kind of feel into the role that masculine energy plays and the role that feminine energy plays. So masculine energy it's so beautiful. It's like this amazing presence that can contain multitudes. Like think of the sun and how it just lights up the whole earth. Yeah, right? Like there's like, think of this vastness, but also a containment, right? So like there's structure in masculine energy. There is like, hey, this is the vision, this is the plan, here's the box, play around inside the box, right? Like masculine energy is this like, hey, I'm here to like set this vision, create this safe container, provide, protect, create, right? This is like masculine energy. And then feminine energy is like literally everything. It's like everything else, everything inside of that container. It's like, think about an atom, and it's like you have the bounds of the atom, and then you just have these like electrons like going nuts. I don't even know what's in an atom. There's a lot of subatomic particles though. We know about that, right? So there's just a million little things, like this universe inside of an atom. But then that's also happening at every single level, from the atomic and subatomic levels up until the entire like the multi-universes of the like everything, right? And so when we think of like what feminine energy is, it's everything, all of these like energetic movements, like the creative flow. It is like everything that's material, everything that could be created, has been created, might be created. It's like the touchy-feely aspects of life. It's like it's going into the depths of the feelings that you don't want to feel, and it's like, oh no, there's more, oh yes, there's more. And that's like what true feminine energy is, right? It's like we are going into like every single crevice of the human experience and like fully embracing that little corner of that experience, and it's like, I'm here too. And that's what feminine energy is. It's going into every little itty-bitty crevice of what's possible to experience, and just fully allow that to flow through us. And it's beautiful and magnificent. And it has been like wildly cut off in many spaces, in many ways that, we there's all these stories that say like we can't be that here, right? We can't be like here to that extent, right? But to really fully embrace our feminine power, or like that feminine energy, is to go into every single little crevice like that. And so it's not about just the shadows, but it has to include the shadows, right? So we can't just stay here from the neck up being like, I'm good, everybody's we're good, right? Like I feel good. Are you good? Yeah, we're good. You know, and it's just like, we all know what happens, right? We've all had, either from personal experience, speaking from experience, you know, but like we've all had experiences like that where we're like, that's just like a telltale sign that like something is going to crash and burn pretty soon in your life, right? We're like, okay, I'm 1 second away from a rock bottom that I didn't see coming. You know, the more we're in denial about those darker corners of the human experience, the more they're going to just come and slap us in the face. And so there's a real practical aspect, there's a real practical side to this. This isn't just about like feeling everything. This is about like having a fullness of experience that allows for true evolution to happen like on the planet, right? Like this is an evolution in consciousness that can happen when more people allow themselves to be here to that extent, and to create spaces and fields where being here to that extent is the norm. So it's not about like, there's kind of this dichotomy of like, well, this is not in the business world. This is in the, you know, like people like me. And this is why I want to talk about this. Like I could have really easily stayed in ponds where I'm normal. Like I'm normal in a lot of, I mean, I'm pretty passable as normal in a lot of situations. Like, I probably seem really normal here. But like, you know, like it'd be kind of easy to just kind of stick with the cool, weird, spiritual people that are like, get this, you know? And like, but it's actually more important, I think, to bring it into spaces where this is a little weird, where it's not the norm yet, because it's important that this becomes the norm in every single space, because whether we like it or not, we're either going to get there by rock bottoming or by consciously choosing to embrace this and to be an embodiment of this power and making space for this, for the vastness of experience to be here. So there's a few things. Like, there's not, as you can see, it's not like I have a slideshow, right? Like, it's not like, here are the 3 things to do this, right? There's not like an easy list. It's like a felt sense of your experience the more and more you allow yourself to do this and to be here and to feel into those edges of not being here, and then just committing to being there when you don't feel there is doing it, right? So I'll say that again. You're perfect exactly where, like there's no there to get to. It's about being here, but also keeping with you the intention that if at any moment you feel a straying away from being here, that you're going to choose to be there too, and to allow that to become explored and presenced instead of avoiding it and allowing it to be covered up by layers of distortion and confusion. So there's an intentionality that we can embrace. It's just allowing ourselves to align our intent with that vision. And then it's your willingness does the whole work for you. There's nothing you have to do. It's just being there with every movement that might happen, and it might be that the first time you notice that you're not here and you're like, wait, I think something happened. It could be hours later that you realize it, right? And then you're just like, that's amazing, something to celebrate, right? As soon as you notice that you like left in some way, right? Like that you were like, whoa, this wasn't all the way aligned, or I wasn't all the way present with this thing, whatever it is. It's like, as soon as you notice is the perfect time to notice it, right? It's like, and then the more you create these pathways of the noticing of not being here, the more you're here. And it's like a whole, it's a whole orientation to life. And what feels really exciting and really possible even, it's like, I think we could make more spaces that allow and value this kind of relating, this kind of being with reality, because all it takes is that intention. So when we're starting our companies or in our big brainstorming meetings, like there's like, you know, sometimes we'll have these values and they're like up here, and like there's, you know, when you notice like a disconnect from those values that we have, like this is it's very similar to like having a value, but it's a little different. You can kind of feel the difference, right? There's like, I'm creating a vision, a mission. We have our vision statements, our mission statements, but this is creating a field. So there's a difference between these like ideas, like from the mental plane, and then creating a field is doing that on an energetic plane. So it's your actual presence. It's not just your ideas about what the presence is. It's like your actual expansion of your capacity to be with everything that arises, anything that arises. And cultivating that willingness to be with everything is all that's required of you. There's nothing that you need to strive for to be perfect at. The imperfection is part of the perfection of it. And it's such a relief. It's always such a relief. It's so simple. And the way that our world works right now is so complicated. And if we can just allow ourselves to embody the simplicity that we want to see outside of us, that is the first step to influencing the world in that way. And and you're doing it right. I feel so grateful to be able to share this with you, and like you are doing it. Like you're letting yourself be influenced by this field, right? This energetic field. And I guess I'm kind of talking about, like, it's hard to put these things into words, right? Like, this is something that I really wanted to do when I took this position here at Kiln, right? Like, I did not want to put myself into a box of what a community director is supposed to be, but I wanted to take the opportunity to influence this field in a way that I want to influence the world. And, you know, we all have this ability to do this. And it's, you know, it's something that, you know, the more, I think it is valuable to put words to it, because the more the mind understands it, the more your whole body's on board. And it's actually, in a world where like this hasn't traditionally been valued, we can influence people to simply value this more. Real presence, and it starts with ourselves being present with our own experience. That's all that's really needed. It's not about just being present with you, it's being present with me while I'm with you. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you know, I can only meet someone else as deeply as I've met myself. And the deeper and deeper and deeper I'm willing to be here with me, the more we're inviting everybody into that space. And yeah, there's so many juicy treasures inside of your depths and fullness, and I am so grateful to each one of you for just having the courage to be who you are and continually unfold into more of that. And with that, I love you.